Can I not marry? Audio web novel chapter 19. Are you trying to seduce me? Suddenly the bathroom door opened, and within the dense fog, Du Lacey could see the president's godly figure. The existence of a god is because of Greece mythology. The gods were not wearing clothes, only pieces of cloth. And the president's lower part only had a bath towel around him. His wet hair has just been dried. It looked slightly messy. The water from the tips of his hair dripped on his neck, then his shoulders, all the way down to his chest, all the way down to his strong abs. Du Lacey didn't dare to look further. She struggled to swallow her saliva. She was deeply shocked by this sacred image. She felt her blood boil. Her mind was blank, while her pair of embarrassed eyes didn't know where to look. However, her eyes continuously blinked, exposing the uneasiness of her heart. Seeing this, Lian Jun couldn't help but curve his lips. Then, he slowly walked next to Du Lacey and casually sat down on the bed. While leaning his hands on the mattress, he used a laid-back expression staring at Du Lacey. "You've came to find me. What is it?" Woken by a rustling voice, Du Lacey forced herself to look to the president. I've come here too. Why did she come here again? Du Lacey suddenly had a sense of uneasiness entering a wolf's lair. The president sitting on the bed, his messy wet hair looked sheer sexy, his infinite eyes under his hair, the soft indoor lighting, there seems to be a strange dark glow, even his Adam's apple appears so nice. At that moment Du Lacey only thought of an adjectives, beautiful enough to feast the eyes. When Du Lacey thought of this word, she was frightened herself. She must have been seduced by beauty, that's why she felt that the president was beautiful enough to feast the eyes. How can the president be beautiful enough to feast the eyes? The president will only dismantle others to be eaten into his belly. No way. She's in a critical situation. She must remain calm. Du Lacey's mind quickly recalled the apology steps that Baidu gods suggested. Plucking up the courage, she looked up and cried, "Sorry, I was wrong." "Oh, really?" Lian Jun narrowed his eyes. "What have you done wrong?" Du Lacey's eyes light up. This question should be the second step in the apology strategy, the damage caused to the other party. So she ventured to say, "I shouldn't have to look for work before consulting you. I shouldn't have went job hunting and not gone to visit old madam in the hospital. Doing this is irresponsible behavior. Not only was it an embarrassment to you, I also failed to live up to the old madam's expectation of me. I was wrong." As she tried to admit her mistakes, the president have sat up from the bed, and used his sharp eyes to constantly stare at her, which once again made her to stutter the words she prepared. While slowly retreating, she creaked a hum. I will never again commit the same mistake again. So, you, being the bigger person, should what? A low and steady sound was heard. Lian Jun slowly step by step approached her. He had an aggressive expression on his face, causing one to freak out. "So, trying the condom, can what?" Her voice sank. Du Lacey has been completely pushed to the French windows. The thin layer of fabric on her back touched the cold glass and the cold afferent her neurons. She almost excitedly gasped. What the hell is going on? She obviously have implemented the steps Baidu God have suggested, but why does the current situation seems to differ greatly from how she imagined? What aspect of the problem occurred? The sincere eyes. It must be because her eyes are not sincere enough. The president thought that her apology was not from the heart, so now he refuses to speak and forgive her. So Du Lacey quickly shot the most sincere eyes of her life towards the president. If that wasn't enough, and then 2 blinks, she'll reflect her innocence and vulnerability. Still not enough. 2 more blinks it is. You're trying to seduce me. Du Lacey was stunned. What did the president just say? Lian Jun's pair of hands leaned on the window, almost pressing his entire body against hers, while his 2 shining eyes looked at Du Lacey. You're looking at me. Do you want me to help you to try it? You trial it. Du Lacey's face instantly flushed. She has been wrongly accused. She clearly was just trying to release her desires to be forgiven with sincere eye contact. How is it once reaching the president, it becomes seducing? Du Lacey was eager to explain when Lian Jun moved his face close to hers. The degree of closeness created such ambiguity. Du Lacey finally had a cardiac arrest. She was speechless. She simply stared at the lips that came closer and closer, completely obviously to the scent of danger. She was not resisting. Suddenly, her memory flashed back to their wedding day. The contact was short, yet she couldn't disperse the warmth that stayed on her lips for a long time. She finally unwilling closed her eyes. Time trickled. Every second felt so long, and when she could no longer tolerate it, all of a sudden there was a chuckle. Du Lacey dazedly opened her eyes to be confronted with an enlarged version of Lian Jun's face staring at her with a smile. Du, sometimes I think you're just too silly, too naive, too silly. Too naive. This mere sentence deeply stimulated Du Lacey's brain. Again she began to recall the scene from the mall where Lian Jun forced her and made her speechless. Incidentally, she recalled the scenes from their wedding where he forcefully held her, then the scene forcing her to comply with the marriage certificate, then finally the scenes of the president's gloomy expression every time he wasn't happy. Finally, she was spewing out a belly full of grievance. Is she stupid? She's naive. Right. I will give you silly and innocent. Just you watch. Lian Jun didn't have time to react when Du Lacey unexpectedly held his face and gave him a kiss. The violent contact with their lips, their teeth heavily knocked and hit against each other. Du Lacey even felt some slight tingling on her teeth. Her mind was completely blank. Why is she doing this? What are the next steps? She wasn't unable to think. While Du Lacey was just thinking of what to do next, suddenly a pair of hands was felt on her waist. She was astonished and wanted to cry out. Her mouth was pushed open and a tongue has slipped in, unbridled aggression against her tongue. How did the situation seems to have reversed? Initiated by this lamb, the evil wolf was finally out of control and fully utilization the kiss that lasted for more than 10 minutes. He kissed the little sheep's soft hands and feet until she unconsciously limp. Finally, when the hot lips parted, Du Lacey was sustained for a long time before she blankly stared at him and asked, "What's the matter?" Lian Jun looked at her, and embarrassedly replied, "Your nose is bleeding." Liked it? Take a second to subscribe us.